It's showtime.
Good morning, Vietnam! Welcome to the party, pal!
See you at the party, Richter!
I didn't kill my wife! I don't care!
Get away from her, you bitch!
I'll be back.
I'll be back.
You did not going to say that, did you?
What I do have are a very particular set of skills.
The dude abides.
I'm not bad. I'm just drawn that way.
Inconceivable!
Little Dallas multipass.
This is a tasty burger.
Space.
Want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
Do or do not. There is no try.
Dead or alive, you are coming with me.
I'm the bad guy?
And Hulk. Smash.
I can speak with an English accent.
Hit the hash pipe and join the National Guard. I could be elected president.
You went over my helmet?
What would you prefer? Yellow spandex?
I know, right?
The list is in the open!
Hey, where are the white women at?
They're digging in the wrong place.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
Are you not entertained?
Second start of the ride. And straight on till morning.
Meow.
You son of a bitch.
21 gigawatts!
Wax on, wax off.
Oh my goodness, I am sporting a tremendous Woody right now.
Bartender is the aristocrat of the working class.
You want to flip 6-3 whole play and you can score.
Cover me.
Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
On this team, we fight for that itch.
It might be a tumor.
It's not a tumor.
No ticket.
No ticket.
I get older, they stay the same age.
It's not what you know, it's what you can prove.
I'm a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude. He's 15.
I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
Hope is a good thing. Maybe the best of things. And no good thing ever dies.
Good evening, and welcome to the Reel McCoy. I'm your host, Meffistoe, and always with me, my hetero life mate, All My Feelings. How are you, sir?
I feel honored to be in esteemed company with the founder of the Blade Runner fan club.
What is the Reel McCoy, you might ask? The Reel McCoy is your weekly movie podcast where we ask you to go watch a movie, you watch, come back to us, and we break it down for you. This month is our Cyber Month, all about AI, cyberpunk, and the rest. And today we will be talking about Blade Runner. That's why we have the esteemed founder of the Blade Runner fan club, at least online. It is Gary from Pop Culture Minefield, and we're having you for essentially for behind the screen segment, and then you're gonna, well, for the lack of a better word, fuck off to do your show.
Yep.
How are you doing, Gary?
Pretty good, buddy. Pretty good. Yeah, it's funny you said fan club because when we went all the way back, I was friends with the family that printed the official Blade Runner magazine back in 1982, which if you look on the back, there was an application for the Blade Runner fan club, which didn't actually end up existing. It never went anywhere. The film flopped and nobody joined the club. And the owner sent me, in order to pay for a few years, the Blade Zone website sent me all the remaining copies of the fan magazine. And we basically sold them at conventions and stuff to pay bills for the website. And basically, he's the one who ran the fan club. And I asked him, "It's okay if we call it the fan club?" And he goes, "Yeah, man, I can't because it's dead."
Nice. All right.
So Blade Zone has been the fan club since 1997.
Nice. All right, cool. And it's on a website that I've never even heard of, because he said something about GeoCities, and I kind of know what GeoCities is. And
GeoCities was not where we did it. We did it on Angel Fire.
That's what I was going for. I just forgot the name.
And the last time I looked, it was still there.
Oh wow!
Angel
Fire
Some
still
of the
exists.
pages
That's amazing. That is really. I thought you'd have to use the Wayback Machine for that, because I thought Angel Fire would have gone bankrupt.
You can sometimes find it, but Angel Fire replicant city. Let's see if it still pops up.
We'll say hello to the chat while you're looking for that.
It's there.
It's still there.
It's
All right.
there. All right. Cool.
Graphics aren't showing up, but the page is still there.
That's great.
Maybe I should have asked, and I could have gotten my my meager notes here.
I
will probably fuck up.
There were
Immediately.
like multiple different kind of web hosting back in like early, like mid 90s to late 90s, and Angel Fire was one of those where like, hey, listen, you want to make a website, go for it.
It was a part of the .com boom, GeoCities, all these different websites, and some of them actually survived or conglomerated into something else, probably Google or whatever. All right, cool. Let's say hello to the chat. We'll say hello to Kaladin. We'll say hello to Juliet and all the rest of the lurkers out there in the chat. Here we go. Bam, bam, bam.
That's the old website.
Old
right
internet.
There.
Yeah.
And I took all the links down, and basically you can read here. It says, I posted that on there once we launched bladezone.com, that if you want to see our material, you go there. And what's really sad is because of the changes that were made to bladezone.com servers by Rick Thompson, the guy that owns Ozark Networks, some of the articles and interviews disappeared because they're written in a format that the new servers didn't recognize. They're still there somewhere.
Wow.
And so I went and I found a bunch of them through the Wayback Machine. And I sent the links to Gary Willoughby and Gary Carden. And yes, it's true. Every single person that managed Blade Zone's name is Gary.
That is a weird.
Now I'm thinking that one of you has to be a replicant, then, right?
It has to be.
One of you. One of you is not going to live for very long.
Elimination has to not be who they say they are.
Yes.
All right. We'll start our show with something proper, something delicious, something kosher, something capacious, something awesome. It is behind the
production. Take 2.
Good evening, all the salty nerd raiders that drifted off here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Keely Chow and the rest of you wonderful human beings. Yes, thank you, Gary. I'm going to look at that. I can't really do it on the show live because I have to read it. But behind the screens is where we turn to me and we get to look on everything behind the scenes, production stuff. There was tons of information, but I've digested it into smaller bits. If I don't cover a specific subject, trust me, it goes long. A lot. There's tons of information.
This is why
about
we just assumed, Gary, this is what time we have you for. This is your time, buddy.
Yes. We've pulled Gary through the back door. Now he's here. Okay. The movie is a not loose adaptation of Philip K. Dick's book, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? I remember reading the book a long, long time ago, and I couldn't understand why it has anything to do with the movie. Apparently, I didn't read Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. I've read a different book, which deals with a lot of psychedelics. That's why I said, I don't see Blade Runner here. I've read something else.
Oh,
never mind.
You read the book Blade Runner, a movie?
No,
the novel.
I read a Philip K. Dick book about a PI guy. I don't remember the name of the book, but it's definitely Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. It's about a PI who's looking for somebody, and it goes off into, I just had I have to calm myself down from the LSD dream with a bunch of cocaine. So I don't remember the name of the book.
Were you conflating it with A Scanner Darkly? But no.
Different book altogether. All right. Back in the 70s, because the book came out in 1968. Back in the early 70s, Martin Scorsese was actually interested in directing an adaptation of this project but it didn't really come out. No script was written for it. It was wishy-washy, and it kind of fizzled out. Then came a producer called Herb Jaffe, and he optioned the rights, and he let his son, Robert Jaffe, write a script. But Philip K. Dick said the script was so bad, he wanted to beat Robert Jaffe either when he picked him up in the airport or back in his apartment. He couldn't decide when. That's how bad he thought that the script was. But in 1977, Hampton Fancher was hired by producer Michael Dealey, or Dealey, I think, to write a script, and Ridley Scott was already attached to the project. The reason why he was attached to the project, because he was set to direct Dune at the time, one of the earlier versions of Dune.
Until his brother died.
Yes. And he left the project and came aboard on this project. Plus, it changed hands, and that's a whole rigmarole. Go watch the Dune episode we did with Tom and Andre. It's fascinating. So during the writing, Fancher found a book called Blade Runners, a book from 1974. And Ridley Scott really liked that title. So they optioned the book.
Almost right.
Okay, you'll correct me. They optioned the rights to use the name of the book, but the book has nothing to do with the actual movie. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Gary, because when I read that and wrote it down, I was like, I'm not sure. Please correct me.
So here we go. It goes in this order. There was a book written by Norris called The Blade Runner, and it was published in 1975. And then William S. Burroughs optioned it to write a screenplay, and what he ended up writing was basic treatment for it. And it never became a film. And instead of letting it collect dust and he had already put a lot of work into it, he decided to turn it into a novella. So it was then released by William S. Burroughs as Blade Runner, a movie, the novel. And it's the weird title. But William S. Burroughs had the rights to the name Blade Runner. And Dealey went to Burroughs and asked him for the rights to use the word Blade Runner or name Blade Runner.
Yeah.
And that's where it was. And it was called Blade Runner because what this guy was is he was illegally transporting surgical equipment.
Oh, okay. I got it. So later on, what? You okay? Your mic your audio and your visual are not synced for some reason.
Well, that's because I'm on farm internet. So you've got 1975 for the first book and 1979 for the second book.
Okay.
By William Burroughs.
Anyway, eventually, Scott and Fancher, during the rewrites, did not see eye to eye at all. Where essentially Ridley Scott was not happy with Fancher's treatments of the stuff. So it's not clear if Fancher was fired or kicked out, or
he stayed on the project all the way through.
He stayed? Okay.
Yeah,
but they brought in David Peoples to do not full rewrites, is a little bit. I think the ending, he wrote a different ending and some pointers here and there, but enough to be credited as the second screenplay writer.
Yep. Because according to him, he says, I hardly did anything to that script. Almost all the bare bones of that screenplay is still Hampton Fancher's.
Okay. The thing is, the project was financed by like a financier company. Not
Tandem Entertainment.
What?
Tandem Entertainment.
That's the original company.
Yep. They also did Sanford and Son and all that shit.
Yes, but the project lagged, and they're like, yeah, we're going to pull whatever funds we put in because we need the money. And Dealey secured funds from a couple different companies. One of them, the most famous one, is the Alan Ladd Company, which they have the big, tree logo at the start of the movie, and 2 Hong Kong-based companies. Now, does that make sense now, Feelings?
Sir Run Shaw.
That's the name.
Yes.
The controlling interests, though, belong to Bud Yorkin and Jerry Parenchio. They were still with Tandem Entertainment, but Norman Lear wanted nothing to do with it. So they separated themselves and they created what's referred to as the Blade Runner Partnership.
Okay.
And they had financial control over the movie.
What still is kind of off-putting to me is why was random Japanese inserted in the Chinatown? That
was Ridley Scott. That was Ridley Scott because he saw a future where Asian culture would dominate in America.
Okay.
And this is way before it really happened, but that's what he kind of saw.
Hasn't happened yet, Gary. You're just talking about manga, so don't worry about it. Okay.
Well, you got to realize that most of Napa Valley doesn't belong to anyone in the United States.
That's very true.
We'll discuss politics in a different show at a different channel.
It's not politics. It's money.
Yeah.
What I found so interesting though is that they, even though it was technically in Chinatown and they had Japanese speakers, they could have hired a better Japanese actor. Don't get me wrong, I love James Hong, but James Hong will always be the villain from Big Trouble in China. He's not the eye creator, Anyway, go ahead.
Anyway,
I know James Hong. He's a sweetheart of a guy. He left me the weirdest message the first time he ever called me. And I came home to hear this message. Hello, Gary? This is James Hong. I only do eyes. Call me.
You told me that story before. It always cracks me up.
I just is someone messing with me? I thought it was a prank, and then I'm like, oh, it's really you.
All right, and this is where, when I read this, I was dumbfounded because Philip K. Dick notoriously disliked Hollywood, correct, Gary? Because he didn't think Hollywood did justice to his books. Now, I had, for the longest time, had the idea of, he really didn't like Blade Runner. And he didn't like what they did with it. However,
he wasn't excited about it at first. But what happened was they invited him for a previs viewing where he got to see some of the visuals that were being done. And he was flabbergasted and loved it. But that's all he ever got to see because he died not long after that. He never saw the movie.
Actually, yes, he did see. He went to Douglas Turnbull, and Douglas Turnbull showed him what he worked on. He saw about 20 minutes.
That meeting. He saw 20 minutes. Ridley was there.
Yeah. Okay.
This was by invitation.
Yeah.
And he had been talking very negatively in interviews. And so Ridley saw this. Well, Michael Dealey saw this as an opportunity to shut him down from talking negatively. So Ridley invited him to go to the studio, which is Trumbull's studio, to see the previs, all the visual effects and some additional footage that included Rachel and some incomplete scenes with no audio. And he got to see 20 minutes of film, and it shut him down. He absolutely loved what he saw. He said, I think the quote was, it's like you pulled it right out of my head.
Yes, that's exactly what I have here. But he also read the people's version of the script because he didn't like Fancher's script. But we're talking about like first or second draft that he read that he didn't like those versions. And
there's a lot of weird shit in that script.
Yeah,
if you
he
ever read
distanced himself for a while. That's why he talks shit a lot on like in interviews. But then when he read the rewrites, first of all, the newer drafts of Fancher and then the rewrites of Peoples, and he said that's really good. So that's way more script. That's way more what I was going for.
If Ridley had shot the script, the shooting script, exactly the way it was written, we wouldn't have run into the problems we ran into. Because we've never gotten a completed film.
Yeah,
the completed film was never made because Ridley was at odds with Jerry Parenteau and Bud Yorkin, and they fired him multiple times and would have to hire him back due to contract, the unions, and they were forced to hire him back, and they fucking hated Ridley Scott and just loathed him.
Yeah. So there were tons of actors up for the role of Deckard. I wrote everything down because I thought some of them fit and some of them did not. And Fancher, before all this, Fancher actually envisioned Deckard as Robert Mitchum. And I thought
he was an actor. Yeah, he's
that
too old.
Is not gonna fly in that kind of a movie.
It's because he was Philip Marlowe twice.
Okay,
and
I get it.
He was known for one of the greatest noir films ever made, out of the past. And so he was real good at that kind of character, but he was way too old.
He was way too old.
And yeah, he was already hitting 70, man.
Yeah, and
too old.
I mean, there were quite a few sort of I don't want to say action scenes, but chase scenes and the sort of the last kind of fight with Daryl Hannah's character. Yeah, and Rutger Hauer's character. So a nearly 70-year-old man. Let's say they could have done it, but it would have been a little bit unbelievable.
It wouldn't have worked. It wouldn't have worked. He was not right for the part. The next big named actor that was attached to the picture, and they were negotiating, and in order to help in the negotiation, he was even included in some of the production art, was Dustin Hoffman.
Yeah. And
you can actually see some of the storyboards with him drawn into it.
And he did extensive work reading for Ridley Scott as Deckard because they already thought about the voiceover, which is later became a thing with Harrison Ford. But at some point he just left. I couldn't find any information why he left.
Never signed a contract.
Oh,
and
okay.
he just opted that this wasn't the film for him. So he just walked away and he says, no, we're not going to be able to make a deal. They just never made a deal. And Harrison Ford had just come off of Raiders.
Wait. We've got the names before Harrison Ford. We've got Gene Hackman, Sean Connery,
another one.
Clint Eastwood, again, a little bit too old, Paul Newman, on the cusp, Tommy Lee Jones, the younger version of Tommy Lee Jones, Peter Falk, Al Pacino.
That's been a joke within the community for a long time.
Oh, yeah? So Columbo as Deckard?
Yeah.
Before
I go.
Roy, before I go, Roy. Burt Reynolds, and finally, chef's kiss, Arnold Schwarzenegger from 1982.
I never heard that one. I never heard that one.
That would be.
I saw the name and I was like,
That's too much. No.
Well, I stopped doing research after a while because I hit a burnout point with Blade Runner, and I told in 2000, I burned out by 2000, and I stuck around till 2002, and then I just turned to Gary and I handed him the keys. I said, "Fuck this, it's all yours." And I stepped away from Blade Zone for years. I didn't even want to talk Blade Runner with people. I still love the movie, but I just didn't want to talk about it because some bad stuff happened at the Millennium Expo, and it really soured me. It's a whole story by itself. You ought to invite Gary Willoughby on sometime because he's the guy that runs it now for me. He took over. That's his baby. He runs it now. What I do is I'm a contributor now. I do the Facebook page. That's what I do. I did do the Twitter page, but I can't get logged back in. I forgot the login. So Twitter's dead right now. But I got to tell you, Blade Runner is one of those films that Gary and I joked about. This is back in 2001, 2002, and Gary's got that. He's got a funny way of talking, and I can do an impression of him. He's like, Gary, what would be interesting is if the fan club lasts longer than 2019.
And
it didn't.
It's still going.
All right, Harrison Ford.
What would be really funny, Gary, is if it lasts longer than 2049.
Yeah. I'll be dead before then.
Yeah, we'll all be dead before then. It's fine.
Yeah. Not me. I'm going to live forever. So Harrison Ford was hired mostly because of Star Wars, but also heavily recommended by Steven Spielberg because they just wrapped up Raiders of the Lost Ark. And he said, Harrison is fantastic. He did Solo. He did Indiana. Those are two completely different characters. He can probably do a noir, like a good noir, like a Deckard character. Trust me on this. And Ridley Scott said, yeah, well, fine. I'll take it.
Fine.
Rutger Hauer was hired because Scott loved his work on Paul Verhoeven films, his Holland, the Netherlands films that he did.
Well, Turkish Delight was just an incredible movie.
That is a great movie, yes.
Yeah. And he really didn't audition at all. He was like, Rutger, did he?
He did show up for a sit down. He came in for a sit down.
Okay.
Before confirmation was made, and he walked in wearing the most fluorescently crazy flowered outfit with giant fucking Elton John glasses. And it freaked Ridley Scott out. And he didn't want to work with him after he met him because he misunderstood him.
That's just people who know Rutger Hauer. It's like, that's just Rutger Hauer. He was always just the off-kilter, crazy son of a bitch.
Well, he was somebody that I knew personally, and I loved that man.
Yeah.
Okay, so question: what if Dustin Hoffman got the lead role? Well, he would have been struck by one of the spinner cars, the police spinner cars, and he would have pounded on it and said, "I'm walking here."
Yeah.
Because that's barely what he did at around 82.
I suspect nobody would have been able to hit him because he's so short.
Sure.
Yes.
Well, I was thinking thought he was one of the trash collectors in the middle of the scene. There's Dustin Hoffman.
Exactly. So the thing is, Rutger Hauer said an interview in 2007. I had to watch to find the interview and actually watch it. He did say that his Blade Runner role was his favorite role of all time.
He gets to just choose scenery so much, like, because I'm sorry,
it's the best film he ever got to do.
Because it reminds like Roy Batty is like the main antagonist of Blue Velvet for Dennis Hopper. He gets to just choose scenery.
Not only that, It's said that he wrote the Tears in the Rain speech. I'll let you talk, Gary, because I saw that I saw that blurb and I was like, I'm not sure. So the story is he was so enamored with the script, he wrote. Oh my God! Stop!
Somebody's popular.
Fun side note, by the way.
You know who it is?
Tears in Rain is a lyric that I think about almost every progressive metal band from the late 90s to currently has one song that has a lyric in it. Because I can tell you at least 5 right now off the top of my head.
Okay, before we continue, do you know who that is, by the way? He keeps going. That's Drexel, by the way.
Oh, God.
Yes, it's Drexel.
Good luck.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. I have to shut it up. Holy shit.
Do you
Sorry.
want me to tell you what happened with that?
Yes.
Shoot,
so, let me finish with the brief sentence. So he wrote the script, this speech for himself, went to Ridley Scott. They did a reading and Ridley Scott approved it. That is the story I got. So what's the real story, Gary?
The real story is that it was too long. And they had to get out of there. It was literally the last thing they filmed. And they were being yelled at to clear the studio. And so he took the scene. He says, it's too long. Because Rutger had a problem with it because it's just too long. So he went back in his trailer and he took what was written and truncated it, simplified it. But then he added one thing that was all him. So the entire speech was a truncated version of what was in the People's script and Hampton Fancher script. But then he added one line that was all him. And that was the Tears and Rain line. That's all Rutger Hauer.
So the most
memorable line of the entire bit, too, which is
the wrap up is his, but he didn't write the whole thing. He took what was written and shortened it.
Okay.
And I got to tell you, it's memorized. I'll have it in my head. The whole dialogue is in my head, living there rent free.
Yeah. Let's not go there. Sorry.
I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. Attack ships on fire off the shoulder of Orion. That's great stuff, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I was about to highlight you like this.
Oh, don't do that.
Yeah, I know.
So actually, Jerry, since we have you here, just have to ask Gary. Sorry. My mind is like I had to autocorrect like mid.
Yo, man, what the fuck you call me?
Yeah, but so with that, were those supposedly? We're going to talk about the film later, but this is a question they can ask you because you're so deep in the knowledge of not only the film but also the multiple iterations of the script. Now, so during the implanted kind of memories that are Roy Batty's final lines, were those actual memories that he experienced, or were those implanted memories that he stated?
They were his because he was a combat model. Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's all I wanted to know. So go ahead.
All right, cool.
But they are implanted with memories, and those memories are usually like family and stuff like that to pad their life so they feel like they weren't just born.
All right. So the J.F. Sebastian role, our good friend, my feelings. Well, not good friend, but our favorite actor, Joey Pants, was considered for that role. Later, went
I've
to.
seen his name listed too. Yeah.
To William Sanderson.
To be fair, I don't think anybody could have played a more kind of innocent victim in all of this than William Sanderson. I thought.
Now, Bill is somebody that I'm friends with to this day, and I love that guy. He is the only actor, I believe, that could have played that part correctly, the way he was played. He has a gentility to him that's just so sweet. And I've seen it in person.
Yeah.
He is, because, like, I'll tell you one little story. We went to dinner one night. Him, his wife Sharon, my wife, and my daughter Zoe and me. And he turned and he says, "Is it okay if I feed your daughter?" He's got a southern drawl. He really has one.
And I said, "Your daughter? Was your daughter
okay
like 3?"
Yeah, she was a baby. Okay. And I said, "Yeah, man, go right ahead." So he started feeding her, and then I looked over after a couple minutes, and he was crying. And I got weirded out. Like, is this going to become something really weird here? Am I going to tackle this man away from my daughter? And Sharon leaned over to me and he says, "We could never have children because he was exposed to Agent Orange in Vietnam."
Ooh.
I was about to ask if they lost a child.
Yeah.
They weren't able to ever conceive. He was
it's just as bad, I guess.
Shooting blanks after Vietnam. And by the way, he was a combat medic, just like me, and it was something he and I talked a lot about as being combat medics.
Oddly, the only thing I remember William Sanderson from overall the most present role was the lead sheriff in True Blood for multiple seasons, and when he became a villain, it was completely unbelievable because you just couldn't buy him.
He's got a face of a sweetheart.
Yeah,
he was the mayor in Deadwood.
Yes, he was.
Really, one of the other roles he's best known for is he was what's her name's uncle in Coal Miner's Daughter.
You're right. Yeah,
he's really good in that. Creepy.
I forgot about that. No, you're right. You're right.
He's also in a movie with Tommy Lee Jones called Dark Moon Rising.
I don't think I've seen that movie, but I know it exists.
It's a John Carpenter script. He didn't direct it, but he wrote it.
All right, cool. All right, so
it's a fun film.
The role of Rachel went to Sean Young. I couldn't find any information why she was exactly picked.
Who was also up for Superman's Lois, by the way. A lot of people don't know that.
All right,
and for Raiders.
But Fincher, when he wrote the script, he envisioned his at the time girlfriend playing it, which is Barbara Hershey. She did not even get an audition call.
That's odd because she's gorgeous.
Well, it is what it is. Right. So the design, especially the city design, was inspired by a variety of different things. First of all, Hong Kong, certain elements from Mobius, from works that he'd done, not necessarily a typical work, but
it was
specifically
the stuff from Metal Hurlant. Heavy metal from because Ridley used to read the French.
It's a French. Is it a French series of books or is it like a full-on comic book?
Originally, it was a French magazine. It was called Metal Hurlant.
Yep.
And he read it religiously, and he loved. Oddly, one of them that was also worked on by what's his name from Alien, co-writer of Alien. He's got his name. Dan O'Bannon.
Okay, yep. I got it. And of course, the city on the whole is inspired by Fritz Lang's Metropolis.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, the whole look of Blade Runner, the city of Blade Runner, in the Blade Runner movie, has later been copied and overcopied to be sort of like the typical city in your cyberpunk whatever story. So it's sort of like an amalgamation of Hong Kong, Tokyo, New York, Chicago, all mashed
There's also this
jumbled
really
in
weird
together
thing too. Just Meph, can I interject just for one second? Because I do want to ask Gary a question. Like, was that like Mesoamerican, like Titulan, like Aztec style pyramid for the corporations? Was that like?
I think that's something that was inspired by Ridley, because Ridley did some actual production art for the film. And he was really like Gaudi was like one of his favorite designers.
Oh, okay.
And
that makes
so
sense.
there was a lot of Gaudi design involved, pyramid shapes, which again, that came straight out of Mobius.
Yes,
too.
Yeah, very much so, yes.
Yeah.
What's his name? Garrod. I forget his first name. Jean-Claude Garrod. Is that his
No,
real name?
isn't that Jean-Paul?
Jean-Paul Garat. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I too loved fucking Mobius. I grew up on that shit, Heavy Metal magazine. And so I got it. And I really like Ridley because he's a hell of an artist himself. And so he was very deeply involved with the production design of the film, going for a specific look. He was also one of them. I'm not sure if it was him or if it was Sid Mead that coined the phrase retrofitted. He wanted the city retrofitted, giving it that look like this is a lived-in world. And they weren't able to build outwards, so they built upward. Built outside of buildings, you know, and it's just the look of that is just so incredible. And it is what sold that film. And it's my big complaint about 2049 is that it doesn't look enough like Blade Runner to be a true Blade Runner.
It's not grimy enough. It's
grimy enough,
clean.
In fact, it looks way too clean to me, and I didn't like that about the film. I still enjoyed the film, but I don't feel like it's a true sequel.
Just as an aside, I think that's why I love Dredd so much, because it does feel like it is Mega City 1.
Okay, hold on a second. I need to tell you something.
Go ahead.
A lot of people don't know this, that when Ridley Scott was planning to do a sequel to Blade Runner himself back in the late 90s, he explicitly bought that studio where they shot Dredd. You know,
the original Judge Dredd, yeah.
And the deal was that he had to also get the movie sets from Dredd so he could use them. And his film that he was planning was going to be named Metropolis, but it was going to be a direct sequel to Blade Runner.
Interesting.
Okay.
So it's not Dredd 2012 Dredd. It's Judge Dredd from 1995 with Stallone.
Yes.
Still,
because he loved the city.
I love the city in Judge Dredd.
Well, I love the visuals, period. They screwed up the story.
Like I said,
it's good visuals.
Like I said, it has good tie-ins with Blade Runner. That look. By the way, the Joel Schumacher Batman and Robin had a very inspired similar design, not exactly the same design, it's a different one, but a more wacky version of Gotham City, but
which we'll talk about soon. And also
we'll talk about that.
Batman has a credit card that expires. Never.
Yes. Right. Before I touch upon like the fun stuff, is coupled with that city design that Mobius inspired, that Fritz Lang inspired design, you had the Vangelis dark, gritty music that actually won an Oscar for because it's, to be honest, my favorite part of the film is the music. But
the music, the score is amazing. Yeah,
I love this score. I love it a lot.
Well, I love it. It's because the music also serves as part of the sound of the film, the sound design. And without Vangelis, I don't think that film would have worked at all.
I think so too. It has a lot. It really puts you in that mood. It has today you're probably going to call it like synthwave music, but sort of the dark side of it where it's more relaxed, calm. It's not.
There's a trance element to it too.
Yeah.
In some of the music that he wrote, very trance.
Yeah. Now the fun stuff. So there were 2 Spinner police cars left after the shoot. Both of them ended up in Disney World in Orlando.
Yep.
And later
Universal,
and no, not Universal, Disney. And then they got dismantled for some reason. They outright destroyed them. They fell apart and then they got shit canned.
Brian Ebenhawk is the guy who found them and took photos.
All right. I think I've seen one photo of it. It was in a ditch. In a watery ditch.
It was in the back lot, and you could see it among a bunch of debris, and it was in bad disrepair.
Yeah. And the funniest piece of info is this. Now, we all know the movie tanked, but there's a reason for it. What is the reason? That's what I found really funny. Now, Alan Ladd is a really good producer, And he said that his luckiest release date is May 25th, because in 77 he released Star Wars, and in 79 he released Alien, both really profitable, really, in the culture, everything. So he said, I'm going to put this in May 25th. The only problem is, few weeks before that and a few weeks after that, we had Conan the Barbarian, E.T., The Thing, and Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, all coming out at around about the same time. So Blade Runner was not doing well at all.
No, it's The Thing and Blade Runner could not compete with E.T.
No, I think, the Thing also kind of tanked, right?
It did. It tanked. It completely flopped. Both films flopped, and it's because they could not compete with E.T.
Yes.
It was a bad idea releasing them at the same time.
Yeah, it sucked the air out of the room on that one. We're coming up on May 25th too. I'm not going to deal too much with the other cuts, but there are several. There are 2 cuts in 1982, one for the US, one for international. One has more violence. I think the international one has more violence just because of the MPAA. Ridley Scott did a director's cut in 1992, which he removed the voiceovers. That he had a lot of argument. Harrison Ford
was not involved with the director's cut.
He was not. Interesting.
No, that was done by Parentio and Yorkin. And the only thing he did, he was asked to come in and watch it, and he fell asleep while watching it. And
okay. Which is weird because it's
neither was the editor. The editor of Blade Runner wasn't involved with the editing of the director's cut.
Nice. It's weird because
it was bad blood.
The director's cut was 116 minutes, but the original cut is 117 minutes. I don't know how that works. Usually it's longer with whatever. But in 2007, we've got the Ridley Scott's definitive final cut, which is also 117 minutes. So what do you got to show us here, Gary?
Well, I was going to show you the spinner appeared in 2 films.
Okay.
This is Solar Crisis, which was, I'm trying to remember. I think James Cameron had some involvement in this. I can't remember. But it was a sci-fi movie that came out in the 90s called Solar Crisis.
Okay.
And not a big film. It flopped. And then let me share another screen. Present share
No
screen.
problem. That's why I took it down.
And this one, on the other hand, was from a big movie. That is referred to as the black spinner from Back to the Future 2.
Yeah, I can see.
Yep.
It's right there on the square. You can see Michael J. Fox go by it a couple of times.
Yep. I remember it.
And that is how one of them ended up on the Universal lot. Because you're arguing with me, and then I was going to tell you how it ended up on the Universal lot.
Tell me why it's Universal and not Disney.
The one that was used in that movie ended up on the Universal parking lot because it was a Universal production. And it was the one of them that Brian Ebenhock found and took photos of. It was eventually repaired over time, and it now hangs in the Space Museum or the Museum of Science Fiction in Seattle, Washington. When you go in the main entrance, you look up and there's a spinner hanging up there.
Well, technically, there's not technically, but essentially, there are rumors that there is a collector that owns the original police, one of the police spinners.
Well, the sheriff's department down in Houston, I think it is. I'd have to ask Brian Ebenhock. He's the one who knows all this shit. And Brian found that they had one of the Deckard spinner, I think, or one of the other police spinners that looks like Deckard spinner. and it's in a police museum down in, I do believe, Houston, Texas.
Okay, cool. All right, Gary, do you need to leave, or do you have some time to play a one game with us?
I give you guys 3 more minutes.
3 more minutes. You would probably get this.
I think that's enough time because Gary can blitz through this. So yeah.
All right. So we're gonna play our first game of the night. It is called Missing Marquee. Missing Marquee is where we take 10 posters of movies, have their text written off. We display them, and Gary and the chat will have to guess which movie this is. Go right ahead.
All right. Oh,
Liquid Television.
Ultraviolet? Was it Ultraviolet?
Liquid Television.
Not Ultraviolet.
Miniseries.
Yeah, it's an
MTV
MTV
produced it as an actual animated series.
Yeah, it was based on the animation, and I can't remember the name of this movie.
Chat can help us. Kaladin has got an Eon
Flux. Ian Flux, yeah.
A much better show than whatever they did with Ultraviolet.
I still think Anaconda's not a bad horror film. God damn it.
Yo, man, this is Anaconda. Oh, I've never actually watched this movie. But it's
Gary.
Verhoeven.
It's Paul Verhoeven's.
I forget the name of it.
See.
I know the director's better than the movie.
Chat will help you.
Yeah.
Dude, seriously, Gary, watch this with Enema. Watch it.
I know the parody to this was called Instinct.
Not the parody. Not the parody. By the way, yeah, the parody is with Armand Assante, which is
No, I'm talking about in Leaving Color. They called it Basic Instinct.
Instinct. Yes, it was. Yeah, yep. Living Color in 1993, I think. Yeah,
right in that area. Oh, yes.
Go ahead.
Tomorrow. This Edge of Tomorrow.
Correct. Edge of Tomorrow.
They should have kept the same name, which is Lived, I Repeat. But
this is Oily. I mean, Grease. Oh shit! Hotel Rwanda.
Correct.
Yes.
Oh, Super 8.
Super 8 is correct.
Oh, I love
the producers.
So much.
The producers. I can't.
Oh, the Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3.
Correct.
Yes.
The Lady in Red.
The Lady in Red.
Which
And
I
that's
believe
a vagina that I
Gary.
used to fantasize about a lot.
Which I believe she was only in what Weird Science, and that was it, right?
That one in Weird Science. Pretty much it for her.
I thought so. Yeah.
She was in other stuff, but that was what she was best known for.
Yeah.
And then she
the
fell
original
hard.
Weird Science. Oh my god! If you have not watched Weird Science, it's one of the most underrated mid '80s comedy films of all.
I do plan on doing it on Pop Culture
so
Mind
fucking
because I've brought it up to Anima so many times.
It's
that
such
this
a
is the
fun
movie we got to do.
You actually get to see a little baby RDJ too.
Yes. Plus,
Even
you got
before the
Oingo
Coke.
Boingo in it, and best of all, Bill Paxton in one of his early roles.
Chet. Yeah.
Yes. That's Chet.
Yeah, Chet,
man.
the booger.
All right, cool. Gary, thank you for joining us. We will.
Thank you, man.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. I love hanging out with you two. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Someday we'll have you for a full episode too. All right.
That'll be nice.
Yeah.
Well, or maybe next time I could pop on one of yours, Gary.
I told him that you're invited anytime you want to come on.
The problem is you have to go through me for me to send him a WhatsApp.
Which is why he's not invited you.
Yeah. So we got cock block meth over here.
Yeah.
I'll see you guys later, man. Have a good one.
Take well, but be well.
Right. After this show. So stick around, guys, because in about an hour, I think we're gonna redirect you. But if you don't get redirected, hop on to Pop Culture Minefield and go give them a sub. A. B. They're gonna talk about my favorite Indiana Jones movie. Last
Crusade?
Yes.
Which that was one of the first ones we actually talked about together, bud.
No, we have not talked about any of the Indiana Jones movies.
Yes, we have.
No, we have not.
Yes, we have.
We have?
Yes, we have.
We'll see. We can do a YouTube search. go to a channel, and in the channel,
because it was the same week that Diablo 4 was released. You and I had a conversation on a side stream that you streamed. Yep.
Yeah, but not on the Reel McCoy podcast.
Yeah, that's well, but we did talk about it though.
We've been talking about enough. You shut up. All right, cool. So the thing is this: now that Gary has left, we can trash about this movie because when I watched this for the very first time, I have to say that I kind of liked it because I was into cyberpunk stuff, and I liked the whole robot things and androids and all that stuff. And I've watched it again and again in the past, but I haven't watched it in a really, really long.
It's been a long time. Yeah, been a long, long time.
I have watched Blade Runner 2049, and I was like, this isn't really a Blade Runner movie. It just has the name, plus it has Harrison Ford playing Deckard, essentially. But it's not Blade Runner. And then I rewatched it 2 days ago. Now,
are you prepared to drop this bomb? Are you ready?
Oh, well, wait. I watched it in parts because at around an hour 20, it was getting really late, and I was like, I'm tired. I'm going to bed. And then we finished it the next day. Me and my wife, we watched it together. You can drop any bomb you like now. On my feelings.
I'm sorry, Gary. I don't like this movie.
I'm sorry, Gary. This movie is boring. It's one of those. It will be one of those movies that we were really excited to cover.
For? Yeah.
And we ended up not liking at all.
It reminds me so much of Django and True Romance, where I'm like, they're okay.
I mean, let's just be honest. No.
Wouldn't go that far, but okay.
I mean, it's so gay. It's not gay. It's just the thing about it. The thing about it. And I think Gary mentioned it on his channel before live, so it's not really off the cuff. I'm not, trying to represent anything. He really didn't like certain things that Ridley Scott did, but I think he looked at the movie in hindsight because he discovered things that were going on behind the scenes. One of those things I kind of mentioned, but I wanted him to maximize Gary time. But one of the things that were sort of in contention here is nobody liked to work with Ridley Scott with this movie.
Yeah.
Not the producers, not Harrison Ford, not Sean Young. Rutger Hauer was in it to win it because he really believed in this movie. Plus, like we kind of said, well, he did condense the speech into something that it's something of his, and Ridley Scott really liked it, so it was in the movie. But nobody liked to work with Ridley Scott. Plus, the movie is a lot of visuals. And as we talked about before, there are multiple situations where first of all, it starts with an exposition dump of just massive walls of text, where it's like, that's not a good sign for a movie to start off with that, where you need a lead in. Star Wars. Dude, as soon as Gary left and we said we didn't like the movie, 17 people left.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I am not surprised. But it's just like, no, fuck you guys. Good. Fuck you guys. I'm not surprised.
We're going to sit here for an hour and trash this movie.
Well, I'm not gonna shit all over it because there are some
No,
really interesting like
joking.
design choices that they made, especially the bit about the about how Gaff Edward James Olmos's character leaves those intricate little origami designs and how they're set up and payoffs with them, which I thought were really cool, especially at the very end because Deckard finds one outside of his apartment leading
sort of
to
like
the elevator, where it's like,
yes.
listen, like you're not gonna have a good life, and neither is she. So
yeah, he's sort of like, I would say it's the boogeyman.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah,
sort of the boogeyman is sort of like that.
Can we just say without 2049? After you watch this movie, were you just not convinced that Deckard was definitely a fucking replicant?
No. If you watch, dude, if you watch just this theatrical and you have no preconception about 2049 or anything else,
yeah,
you have no point of reference to know if Deckard is a replicant or not. There is no question if he is a replicant or not.
There actually kind of is, because there's a scene where they still have that entire where they focus on the pupil of multiple different characters in different shades of lighting, and every single one who has a reflective pupil are replicants, and Deckard has one inside his apartment. So like, oh, was Deckard also a replicant the entire time?
Gambit rolls in. I love this movie. Yeah,
Gambit, hey, welcome, because we're about to shit all over it. We're about to just shit it right inside your cereal bowl right now, bud.
We're only hyperbolic here, but the thing about it is, we've seen the movie, and there are lots of moments in it. It looks gorgeous. The city looks amazing.
For the interpretation that Ridley Scott was able to pull off with the shots with the cinematographer were absolutely fantastic. And obviously you saw the mentioned the references to Fritz Lang's Metropolis. It was like, yes, this is the idealization of that concept in 1982. Like it's fantastic. It's really good.
And not only that, Roy Battier is the epitome of an Aryan, essentially. And this is what he was supposed to be. Not really Aryan in sort of like this National Socialism kind of an Aryan, but a Nietzschean
like an Ubermensch, like the Ubermensch. Is that what you're?
The Uber, exactly. Okay. So a Nietzschean model of what then later on got distorted, of course. Yes, so it's tall, blonde hair, blue-eyed. Yes. A model of what an Ubermensch is supposed to be, essentially. Yeah. But it kind of fits with the Fritz Lang Metropolis too.
It really does.
In a weird and sort of perverted way, but it kind of fits, and you can't really say nothing. And so the whole point is,
can we just interject just for it, because we're going to go all over the place now, because this is not going to be shot for shot.
We're not going to go through the story from start to finish. No.
If he is a human, he's a fucking creep.
Why?
The scene with Rachel basically kind of coercing her into sex, essentially. I was like, yeah, that's not cool, dude. No, it's not cool. No, say you want it.
Again, I think that was a perspective thing. I think he was way more creepy with the stripper / snake handler
with Zora Salome.
Zora Salome, yeah.
No, I thought that was great because he's trying to be undercover, and then it breaks, so you can actually hear him break from his character to sound exactly like, just like, okay, that's Harrison Ford, then back in character.
Anyway, I like I said, I still think it is either unclear or not specifically sort of. There's no point in which I thought for a second that Deckard is
was
a
a replicant?
replicant.
It's later. It's after Rachel shoots Leon. They go back there, and she's in the light area in his kitchen, and they have the eye bit where you can see her eyes with the same kind of color on her eye, on her pupil, and you can look back and you see that Deckard has the same color. It's like, oh, maybe
it's way too far. I'm trying to look
for
it.
In the interim, though, can we just give a giant fucking round of applause from William Sanderson being the most likable character in a sci-fi movie I've seen in like the last 20 years again? Because seriously, J.F. Sebastian is like the most likable dude.
And they even the thing about J.F. Sebastian is really weird because he is stuck with replicants that he knows their lifespan.
They're doomed,
and he's immediately divulging, I'm like 26. And
I'm 25. Well, what's wrong with again, Pris?
Yeah.
Under the guise that she doesn't know she doesn't think that he knows that she's a replicant.
Yes.
She's like, so what's wrong with you? It's like, wow, that's mean. Just he invited you to stay inside his home, and you're like, what the fuck is wrong with you, man? He has a genetic disorder. That's why he's not off-world. That's why he's not on stars. But what's so interesting about that is I thought you would find this funny because there's that one scene later when Deckard comes back after the murder of Eldon Tyrell, where you're like, okay, so this is my best friend's fucking nightmare, where he's walking in that room of walking and moving dolls. And you're like, yep, kind of had a little panic attack for a second the first time I rewatched it because fucking hate dolls.
You think?
Yeah.
Now I've seen this,
the snake,
and I was waiting and waiting and waiting, and they did not let him have it.
Or for him to say like, "Oh, I hate snakes."
No. Why did it have to be
snakes? Yeah. That's bad.
I was like, say the thing, say it. Because essentially, Deckard does not like this snake at all. Because he's like, is this a real snake or is it like a replicant snake?
And Zora is like, afford a real snake, I'd be working here.
Yeah, it's like, are you kidding me? And I was like, please say the thing. Please. Fuck it. There's no way. If it was done in 1998, they would probably say it.
Yes, it's like back to like the very, very beginning. Like again, with you have Deckard meeting with Bryant, and they have the line. They actually develop emotions. They leave off of these cognitive imprints, like so they have memories. And it's like, so they make them more human than human. And immediately in my mind went, little Astro Creep, let's go. Which Astro Creep, that's more human than was about this movie too. Partially,
yeah. I love the fact that with all the technology, he still has a CRT monitor. They didn't even think about how the future is going to look like in terms of technology. They just said, well, we're going to be frozen in 1981.
Well, that and also the technical kind of, what is that? I can't remember the name of it. When you would actually go to the library and then you'd actually be able to cut in, like zoom in on articles.
Yes.
That's essentially what he does in the photo in order to find Zora's neck tattoo, where it's like kind of zoom enhance from CSI, but really bad.
Yeah, the overly zoom. It's like, wait a minute.
Yes, that's what it is. Thank you.
Microfilm. Thank you, Paul.
Microfilm and
Thank you.
microfiche. Yes, both of the two of those. Yes.
So I was like, there is no way. And there's no way. But it's supposedly you can do it. But yeah. And it's sort of like it doesn't really fit that he's looking at this high-tech zoom machine that can 4K a tattoo at a reverse mirror, but you have a CRT monitor.
It's like
essentially an RGB monitor, but you know. Oh well.
I don't even think you could play a Super Nintendo on that, sir.
I want to get to.
Yes, I did love the fact that also Edward James Olmos worked with an actual origami artist, so he actually was able to make those actually on set.
Yes.
That was.
I didn't have. I didn't.
That's a fun side note that I did know from years ago.
And I think when he first there's a thing about the speech. Now it sounds incoherent, but essentially it's just a mixture of different languages.
Well, yes. Also, as an aside, when he goes to pick him up, actually it's a kind of ramen bar technically in Chinatown. He not only speaks half Mandarin Chinese and then half Japanese, but the Japanese owner's like, well, he says you arrested Deckard Cain. I was like, that's not what he said at all. That is not what he said.
He said it in Hungarian. Sandra Hammerschlag's got it. He was talking in Hungarian.
No, at one point he did say something in Mandarin and in Japanese in that scene, though. He did.
Yes,
I know he did.
Yes, but he went like when he said like "get up, get in the car" is more like "you absolute donkey head" or something. He called him a donkey dick or something in Hungarian. It's hilarious.
Well, a donkey head is definitely a
no
very Hungarian kind of slur.
No, more like a donkey dick, but yeah. In that vein, we'll call it that. But yeah, I loved him in that role. Let's just say this: one of my favorite characters.
No, I thought
his
Gaff was fantastic, and he led a certain almost quiet menace throughout the entire movie, which I found great, especially at the very end, as we already discussed.
Yeah,
when he finds the little origami animal outside of his apartment, it's like, oh no, we're gonna find you.
Yeah, and as soon as he said that, I was like, yeah. They were setting the thing about this. They were setting up a lot of things that sort of didn't seem to pay off. Or they either thought they were going to do Blade Runner 2 or something. They were going they went for some sort of a giving you breadcrumbs, but it led to nowhere. The gaff thing, there's a certain elements of there's something to do with Deckard and Rachel that they're going to develop, but nothing really developed except for them running away.
Now, see, it had been forever since I watched this for the very first time, and you know what I was really expecting? I was actually kind of hoping for an old boy ending.
So he discovers that he's his daughter?
No. Where at the end realize that there's no way that she's ever going to get away, and he just shoots her in the elevator to save her from being hunted for the rest of his life, rest of her quote unquote
her 4-year life.
Yeah, because remember the entire thing of all the replicants saying like, this is how you know what it lives like to feel like to live in fear. And this is what she's going to live like forever. That's what that's why that's the concept of the mummy's curse.
Yes.
which is always like, you know exactly when you are going to die. And
yes,
what all of them have looming over their heads, because they are programmed with the fact that they know that even though they have memories, they still know when they were born, because Leon knew when he was born, because he even asked Deckard, like, when was I born? Like, what's my birthday? Yeah.
It's weird because I think even I think Roy Battier said something about his birth date, but
No.
Roy, it was just
Roy
Leon.
It was just more about no. Leon was the only one who actually said his birthday.
Oh, okay.
But they knew that they're going through the signs of degradation. Well, like, he had to just shove the nail through his palm in order to get his synapses to refire in his hand.
Yeah. Now, this is the only place where you can say, well, at least to sort of how I see it. The reason why Deckard stood up to Roy Battier for so long is maybe because Deckard is a replicant. But this is all because of knowledge that has been accumulated in the past
over the
40 years.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. So within the context of the movie, I would say I didn't see anything. With context,
sorry, go ahead.
With context, this is the only point where you can, to me at least, that you can say, well, it's a little bit too, he is way too powerful. Roy is way too powerful than Deckard. He is toying with him, yet he wants him to suffer, but ultimately he could have killed him two ways out of Sunday. Like, there's no way. No way. So maybe you could say this is the point where you can say, yeah. So Deckard managed to kill Pris, even though she was way overmatching him, maybe because he's a replicant.
Yeah, well, even though Zora was not able to kill him when she had the opportunity to.
Yes, because she had him in a chokehold, and then she just ran away. So maybe...
Well, because she was already going to run away anyway, so why wouldn't she just finish the job? And maybe she realized that, oh, wait, no, you're one of us. And that also kind of why with Roy, how he has his monologue at the end telling him the stories of, well, you're just like us, you just don't realize it yet. Or
and that's my whole thing. Within the context of of this movie, without pre-knowledge or foreknowledge, actually, I cannot say I had a question about Deckard. But with knowledge, the only points where I can say, yeah, he might be a replicant after all.
Well, that also
is these points of dealing with other replicants.
And also to be able to support his body weight on 3 fingers on one hand, because he does so in the movie. It was like, that's not humanly possible. You are dead. You are falling to your death, sir.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and yes, at the start when he talks to the captain, and the captain is like, "You're like the best Blade Runner. We need to have you back." And Decker's like, I don't want to be bad. I don't want to do any service for the cops. Like you all motherfuckers.
It's after he kills Zor. It's like, yeah, told you he's the best. He's a one-man killing machine. He's like, yeah. Well, you only got 1 left. He goes, no, there's 3 left. There are 4.
Yeah, that's sort of like the only clues that. If you had the knowledge, you were like, oh, this is it. This is it. That's the smoking gun. Yeah, that's my whole thing about the whole replicant thing with Deckard. And then in 2049, they just fucking ruined it. But fuck it.
Hey, all I'm saying is, if they can do replicants of dogs, I am just rebuying my favorite dog over and over and over again.
To me, Sean Young, awesome. That was she
As
is
Rachel?
really
Yeah.
good in these characters that don't say a lot, but emote a whole bunch.
Very much so. And also, you can say like the most loosely rolled cigarettes I've ever seen, or like like the worst rolled joints ever. Maybe, huh?
Maybe. Maybe. That hairdo is straight out of the 50s.
It's fucking Betty Davis. That's Betty fucking Davis. That's what that is.
Exactly. Now it was inspired by 50s sort of noir pictures.
Yeah,
and
that's what it
pinups.
is. Yeah.
And they even that particular suit, if you look at it right, it is a pinup suit. Not 50s, like mid 40s, like late wartime and that sort of thing. That's what they were going for. For her, works fucking fantastic. Yeah, like Gambit said, like 40s film noir look. Yeah.
If you remember, like even going back to Watchmen, that like the original Silk Spectre, her hair was done up in the same fashion.
Exactly like that. And that was like 38.
No, that was 40s. That was
40s.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. James Hong. And
I can never ever hate on that man because he made a shtick out of one thing, and God bless you, sir. You're great in everything. Again, one of my favorite villains of all time, because we talked about we have to do a revisit of Big Trouble in Little China because how much we love that movie, and we did it way too early. I would love to redo it again, but it's so
not on this show. We need to get you on other shows.
It's so good, man. Oh, that movie's so great.
But yeah, the whole point of him is like, I don't make robots. I just design the eyes.
Also, no. Frozen freeze.
Yeah.
And Leon just puts his hand in.
Yeah, he just put his hand in and was like, fuck you. I was like, no, you're robots. Well, not robots, replicants.
No, you go, you illegal.
Yeah, illegal. Now, I want to talk.
Sorry, Gambit got it right. You not come here, you illegal.
I love it because he sounds like he's an illegal by his own self.
I have friend. He take you there. His name J.F. Sebastian.
Now, why is J.F. Sebastian wearing a motley suit? Just because he loves his toy things, toy dolls? I'm just saying. I found it very strange.
I'm gonna make the joke, and it'll fit because he and his toys are a motley crew.
No, get out. Get out.
Hey,
no.
All he was thinking after. Nope, I'm not gonna finish that joke. It's a terrible joke.
No.
Nope. Moving on. So all I know is JF's entire house fucking terrifies me to death. This would be my fucking nightmare. You know this, Meth.
I know the dolls. The dolls are just insane, and they use dwarf characters for this. I couldn't find anything about this, but they use dwarf characters and just people who are short to do these dolls.
Well, they use professional dancers that were able to hold their breaths, that were able to replicate mannequins in other scenes as well, which is fun.
Daryl Hannah never looked so ugly in a movie.
I swear to God.
Especially when she was so young.
I feel so bad because the first time I saw Daryl Hannah walking the street, I'm like, why does that drag queen look like Daryl Hannah?
Yes, she's not a looker today either, but the getup she's in is so bad.
It's bad.
But to me, it just reminded me of one of those, if you play like a cyberpunk-esque game, like a PC game or a console game, you're like, oh, I want to make my character look really bad.
Oh, no, she would fit right in like a Sega Genesis 1995 Shadowrun game. Like, yep.
Agreed.
That's
Agreed. It's a shame though. But yeah, it's kind of a weird thing. I don't really have to say a lot about this movie, to be honest. Like I said, one of the major things about it that kind of bummed me is the fact that in some ways it was trying to be artoir, so sort of like an art house film, but it's a blockbuster sci-fi film altogether. And yeah, they were going for, we're going to do some Mobius shit and all that stuff. But yeah, it doesn't really take you that
a little bit, but also like it didn't quite have the gravitas when it come to scene exposition like Metropolis, where Metropolis had to completely solely depend on silence and scene shots.
And to me, that whole so the whole point is Deckard goes to Tyrell. He sees this new replicant, Rachel. He knows that she's got her new model is we can implant like real
memories, because
memories.
He fucks her head up real bad because she believes that she's a human. He's like, no, you're a fucking moron. They're put it in your goddamn head. And then he goes, psych, I'm just messing with you. It's just a joke. You're a human.
And that conversation he has with Tyrell, he looks around, like looks at Tyrell after she leaves the room, is like, yeah, she's a robot. It's like, I'm saying robot, replicant,
yeah. But the same thing was like, well, it took you up to 100 questions to get that, and that's a good sign, because typically it takes like 25 or something in order to decipher if someone is a replicant or a human.
Yeah, and Tyrell seems like happy.
He's over the moon.
He's happy.
Like, it's a new iteration of his project, of his entire project, of his entire career. Where it's like, yes, so it took you this long to decipher human from real. So maybe in my 7th generation, in my 8th generation, be completely indecipherable.
And you see him act like that throughout the film, because the most important scene with him later on is the scene where Sebastian comes in with Roy, and Roy sits down with this guy.
No, and actually, no, I think that the best part is the lead up to it in the chess game. And if they're like, well, I only beat him once. The man's a genius. So leading into going to Tyrell's compound into his own personal quarters, he goes, oh no, it's the 2 moves where one gets him each other, like, oh, you gave him your queen, and he goes like, well, move that, I believe that's checkmate.
Yeah.
And like, oh, so what gave this random brainstorm? Come on up. Because even Tyrell, something was up, and he knew immediately, like when he saw this is kind of what's interesting too, is JF overall, even though he never really said it, he knew the entire time that Pris was a replicant. And especially like when he met Roy, like he knew that Roy was a replicant. And that like when they got to Eldon's like personal quarters, Eldon was like, no, you're Roy Batty. I made you. I know you.
And that's what I'm talking about. That whole conversation, it seems like a dad and a child conversation. Cause Roy's like, can you not give me more life? And he explains to him as if he was a child. It's like, no, we tried this. Yes. We tried different elements
go through
to
the
this,
entire,
and it didn't work.
No, I thought it was great is they go through the entire scientific sequencing of how it didn't work, and how every single time they tried to replicate a process in order to recreate a possibility of him surviving longer, it failed. In fact, it only shortened the lifespan of the replicant or the creation. So essentially, is it like, no, you live twice, you live twice as fast, you like a candle, you burn twice as bright, but you live half as long. And that wasn't enough for him. So he just said, well, you can't save me. So I'm just going to just squash your head.
Squash your head. Now, when I saw that scene, I looked at it really critically, and I'll tell you why. He smashes his head, but he doesn't squash it like a grape.
No, he basically puts his thumbs in his eyes.
No. Before he puts his thumb in his eyes, he cracks his head. Now you can hear a large crunch. And I turned to my wife, you know her, and was like, this seems very realistic. And she looked at me weird. And I was like, he didn't crush his skull in. He broke his jaw. And I'll tell you why. Now, I don't know if it was done on purpose. Probably not. But if you break someone's jaw, he suffers a lot. And then he puts his thumbs in his eyes. It hurts a lot. And then he kills him.
So do you think that was his retribution?
Yes. That was anger, revenge. I cannot accept my fate, so you will suffer for it. I have suffered. You will suffer. Head of a serial killer kind of thing where it's quid pro quo, where, like I said, I suffered, you must suffer, and this is what I will do to you. Yeah, it's yeah.
Sander, you're right. No, it's Betty Page. My bad.
Didn't you say Betty Page?
No, I said Betty Davis.
Oh, okay.
He's right. I was wrong. That's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. That's why the chat is open.
You conflate names. It happens. It's okay.
It's fine. It's all good. Now, the thing about it is I'm going to jump into the Deckard-Roy situation. And I'll tell you why.
The one bit I did find probably the most interesting entire thing, and when Deckard, I found him the most like, okay, this is Han Solo. When he gets to JF's building, and he rings the door, and it's Pris answering, and he goes, "Hi, yeah, I just wanted to see if JF's in. It's one of his old friends." She answers like, "Well, that's no way to treat a friend." It's like, that's a Han line. That's totally a Han line.
I think that's the Harrison line more than anything.
Yeah, it's like, I can see Han Solo saying that. Like, well, that's not how you treat a friend.
To me, and this I found really weird, is the moment where he climbs this cupboard, and I was like, why is he climbing a cupboard for some reason? Now I know he saw the opening, so he wanted to go up one floor, and he couldn't use the stairs because Roy was in the other room. But I found it really funny that it was like, I'm going to climb on this cupboard to get away from you because I have the high ground. It just made me laugh. It's just
again,
my
I still
own
feel
head.
really, really well. Again, as a side, well, I know your own headcanon there, but one thing I do still feel bad. It's like, man, Roy, couldn't you just not let JF go? Because it's clear that Roy killed JF.
Obviously, but again, you don't see it. So, did it really happen that way? So I'm gonna get to this point. You said this. Now, I know because I've read this somewhere, and I could be mistaken. So you guys in the chat can tell me I'm batshit crazy. There is a script out there that Deckard falls to his death, and that is the ending of the movie, because Roy essentially looks at him fall and die, and then Roy shuts down, just like in the movie. But there is no speech. I don't believe that is true, but I have heard it. Feelings?
No, I never heard of that, but in a way, it'd be kind of poetic. Because if he were to fall and then have that last bit of monologue where he says, again, like, memory's gone, like tears and rain, and now it's time to die, and he shuts down, and they were to cut to credits, that's kind of a decent ending, really. Because our protagonist is not a protagonist. Let's not get it wrong here, okay? Deckard is an asshole. Regardless of everything else, he's a prick.
Yeah, but this is sort of like, this is the definitive speech. This is the definitive shot of the entire movie.
Yeah.
And to me, what sucks to me about Blade Runner is not the fact that you have Deckard and Rachel together running from the law or from the Tyrell Corporation, essentially. Because the Tyrell Corporation essentially is the ruler of the city or the Earth.
Yeah, they can create replicants. So you would never know who was in power because they could be a replicant owned by them, and he could just flip a switch and yeah.
Yeah. So essentially they're running away from Gaff the whole time for the rest of whatever movie there is planned, Blade Runner 2. But it all comes down to this moment, and you have that incredible speech, and whatever happened after this, really you could just cut away. And it wouldn't matter that much.
The only thing that really got me about this, that really irked me so bad, was the fucking dove symbolism. Oh, come on, man.
Together with Wayland Yutani. I know, dude. I know.
See, that's what it is really is Michael was just a replicant overall. And that's the reason why when they went to Prometheus, it was actually supposed to be Roy Batty. And
I was half waiting. I'm not even joking here. I was half waiting for the android from Alien Romulus to say something from this movie.
It's like, and so they fall like tears in rain. Like, what? Huh?
I don't know why. I was like, something
David,
like you people or something. What do you mean, you people? Anyway.
Oh, yeah. All the wonders that I have seen. It's like,
all the wonders I have seen.
What? Huh?
Correct. What are you talking about? What is this? All right. Let's have some fun because, like I said, we're not covering the entire movie because essentially, like we said, we really didn't enjoy it on the rewatch. I don't think like I said, I don't think the final cut or any other cut would change my mind about this movie.
I wholeheartedly agree. There's no way that they could have salvaged it for me. But again, I think this is more of an issue of taste more than structure, really. I think I've seen enough art house films where I go, I'm kind of out.
Especially this week, but never mind. It's a personal thing, which I cannot talk about.
A time that is not alive, I'll put it that way.
Yeah. Anyway, let's play our second game of the night. A little bit late, but it's fine. And I already ruined whatever couple I had because this is actually Screen Fighter time.
Round 1, fight.
Screen Fighter is where we take two movies, pit them together, and see which one is the best one. If there's no discernible difference between the two, both of them are good or both of them are bad, we fall into our criteria, which is Friday evening, Saturday evening, out with the boys, out with the girls, out with their significant other, two movies in a vacuum. Which one will we pop in? Ba-bam. Blast from the Past or Rain Man. I had a really
Go ahead.
Yeah. It's Rain Man. No questions asked.
Yeah.
Yep. No questions asked.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, another one, kind of no questions asked. Also, that's a great Japanese poster for Donnie Brasco. The Indie in the Cupboard, better book, terrible film.
I have not read the book. I've seen the movie a long, long time ago. Is that a Disney movie?
No, it's not.
All right. Donnie Brasco, hands down, really good.
Paramount, I think.
All right.
Okay.
The Exorcist or 21 Grams. Two completely different movies.
This is a movie that's going to get me ostracized forever in the horror community. I don't like The Exorcist. I don't like that movie. I never cared for it. 21 Grams in their hand is a great fucking movie.
I agree that 21 Grams is a really good movie. However,
oh no, I'm getting back on a horror movie from Meth. This is a first, everybody. Hey, first time.
I will pick The Exorcist. I've rewatched it 5-6 months ago. It is fucking fantastic for a 73 movie.
73, okay. I actually prefer The Exorcist 2, which is actually just a lot of fun. But
I haven't seen it. I have not.
Oh my god, I love that poster. I love it so much. Oh, what? I want that as bedroom art.
What? The John Wayne
poster?
I haven't seen it.
He has maybe an issue. Maybe he's missing a chromosome or two.
No, he's
maybe
not.
An extra one or.
All right. MIB or Equilibrium?
This is a great pairing because I was actually talking to a friend of mine the other day do you remember when Equilibrium first came out? They were saying that movie was going to be better than The Matrix. It was like,
I haven't heard that, nor do I agree.
No, but it was like, no, it was like, look it up. It was actually on posters for the trailer.
Wow!
It's in the trailer and actually on the actual like marquee posters, like it was a tagline, and they're like better than The Matrix. It was like, no, it's not better than The Matrix. It is a better movie than Men in Black 2, but
it is really good. It's time for a rewatch too. I haven't watched it in a long time. Yeah, to me, Equilibrium. MIB 2, by the way, MIB 3 and the MIB International, whatever that they wanted to call that, they're so unnecessary. They're just.
I thought MIB 2 was fine. That was okay. That if they would have ended, it would actually give Kay a satisfying ending. We're like, okay, cool, leave it done there.
Nah. Urban Legend or The Notebook?
Now,
Urban Legend.
Who has ever been in a relationship with someone who is of the opposite gender before? But have you seen The Notebook? Yes. Do I want to ever again? No. Urban Legend is a lot of fun. It set up a small, I think it's a trilogy of films. But they all have the dumbest kills, and I'm all for it. I am all for it.
So Urban Legend came out right around the time of Scream, and I Know What You Did Last Summer.
It was actually after I Know What You Did Last Summer.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. It was another one of those films where the hottest teens of the time would have gotten a role either to jumpstart their career or continue their career.
Or just
from TV into movies. Like in all three of those, like Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer, and Urban Legend. Urban Legend is not a good horror film because it doesn't do the horror bits funny. or interesting.
I honestly think that Scary Movie is a better horror film than Urban Legend. And that's not a joke. But I also think that Urban Legend is funnier than Scary Movie.
Okay. The thing about The Notebook is that it's boring. Maybe it's just boring to me because it is a massive chick flick. It is a massive chick flick. I couldn't connect to it. I don't think it's a bad movie. It's just there's two things, and one of them would make a smile. Will have a smile on my face, just because it's really stupid. Right. The Killer or Black Snake Moan.
Have you seen Black Snake Moan?
I have.
Because I really, really fucking liked it.
It has sort of an indie quality to it.
It does, yeah.
Sort of like it is an art house film in essential. But The Killer also had that sort of same vibe.
And also, by the way, I think The Killer is one of the best like hitman movies I've seen in the last 15 years. That movie is so
and people
hated
it.
I don't know why. It's so fucking good. It is.
I loved it. I love David Fincher. I was so happy.
And also Michael Fassbender playing like the perfect fucking sociopath for a good like 45 minutes at the beginning. His schedule of laying down on the mat, going to McDonald's, throwing away the buns, eating only the egg for protein, going back, laying back down. It's like, holy fuck, this is great.
It kind of went a little bit iffy in the middle there, but I liked the ending. Yeah, and I really liked the beginning. The beginning doesn't tell you anything of what's going to happen the rest of the movie. It's so insane.
I will say that Black Snake Moon though is worth a watch, but it's also one of those one and done movies. The Killer I would rewatch again. Yeah.
Yes, and I've reviewed it on the channel and I've watched it again because hey, it's on Netflix. It's fun.
Yeah.
All right, Devil's Advocate or Up.
I'm a fan of man.
Now, I'm going to give it a fair shot because we have to give it a fair shot. My favorite is my all-time favorite Pixar movie.
That is an amazing fucking like 1930s like World's Fair poster for that. That's a fantastic poster.
I've never seen this particular poster, by the way.
The only one with Up will get me is like, oh, so I'm going to cry after the first 5 minutes, and then we're going to get to the story. Nah.
The chat is united.
It's up.
A Devil's Advocate is, to me, a much more satisfying watch.
It's so fucking fun. We had such a blast watching it just last month. It's so good.
Is real good. That's my pick, and I'm sure it's yours. Paul Harley is like Pacino. All right.
So we have Stephen King versus Meth.
Yes. Essentially. Although I do not have
it's
a lot of
poster for you don't mess with this.
The only difference between me and Zohan is I don't have a lot of pubic hair. Essentially.
That's more than I ever wanted to know. Thanks, bud.
Not as much as supposedly he has in the movie.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Do you want me to go first?
Go ahead. Misery or Don't Mess with the Zohan.
James Caan is fantastic. Kathy Bates is probably at her most menacing, especially with the like, no, we have to make sure you can never leave. The knee blocks, cobbling, like, Misery's so good. It's actually one of, I think, the best Stephen King adaptations.
Which he hated, I think.
Actually, no, he liked Misery. He didn't like Needful Things. He didn't like the original It.
He didn't like The Shining.
No, he hated The Shining.
Right.
Until, oddly enough, we talked about it during our review, until like 30 years later, like, yeah, it's actually okay.
Yeah.
Whatever, Steven.
Whatever. Fuck off. Go back on your coke bender.
Yeah.
Paul
is right. Zohan is a way easier watch.
I agree. I totally agree with that assumption. It's like, yeah, Zohan is a way easier watch. You need to be in the mood to watch Misery, and that's where this whole thing begins. Now you have two movies in a vacuum, but which one is the better one? So the better one is essentially Misery, better written, better acted.
Yeah, but in the confines of which one you're flipping through the channels, you see it on like, I'll watch Adam Sandler do some dumb shit. Oh, Kathy Bates, I can't see you hobble James Conn again. I can't do it.
It's like I cannot deal with a guy getting his legs broken by a fucking 10-pound hammer. Okay, so you would probably pick Zohan because it's the more entertaining.
Yeah.
But I will press Misery because it is the better movie. Which one is the better movie? First,
okay, this is way too fucking easy.
All right.
You know how much I hate Austin Powers. Hate it.
But you also hate Zucker Brother movies.
Fiber of my being. But I would watch The Spy Who Shagged Me 10,000 times before I watch Top Secret ever again.
Okay, this from a man that hates every single one of the Zucker Brother Abrams movies.
Fuck the Zucker Brother. Fuck them. God, they're the worst people.
Let's just say this. I recently watched Top Secret after Val died. There are moments in Top Secret that I don't like. Essentially, the bits where he sings. There's plenty of stuff there that I love because I love the gags. It's not as good as Airplane.
Okay, I will even admit that Airplane's a better movie.
I would watch Austin. This is essentially Austin Powers 2.
Yeah. Yes.
Which
I think Austin Powers 2 is better than Austin Powers 1.
I don't know.
They shot out that motherfucker immediately. As soon as it hit numbers, they went, okay, everybody get back on set. Let's go.
Kind of.
That's why Elizabeth Hurley was actually not really in the second movie because they couldn't get her to come back. So they killed her off.
Yep. French Connection 2 and Remember the Titans.
That's a glorious Japanese poster for Remember the Titans.
Yes.
That's fucking fantastic.
This is going to be our last pairing because we're going to wind down the show too.
Heck, man.
Say what you want, not what everybody expects you to pick.
I'm gonna have to go Remember the Titans. I'm a sucker for a good football movie at the very end. The coach brings the entire team together and they win. It's like, I'm fucking yeah.
French Connection is not as good as French Connection 2 is not as good as the French Connection.
No.
And Gary will tell you that Gene Hackman didn't really want to even make this movie.
Yep.
They kind of forced it on him.
Yeah.
It's not that the French Connection 2 is that bad. It's just not as good as the first one. And it seems like they kind of forced that movie altogether.
Correct.
I'm a sucker for a good football movie too. I'm not gonna lie.
We have a month coming up that we cover a lot of them, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. Oh, it's gonna be so much fun.
And yeah, we might have to do a switch because I forgot about Remember the Titans. We'll talk about it.
We talked about Remember the Titans. Like I don't think we can fit it in that month.
We'll see. Anyway,
We'll
I'm
see.
gonna pick Remember the Titans as well. I'm not gonna pick the Robot versus the Aztec Mummy or the I'm gonna pick the
Okay.
Robot versus the
Robot versus
Aztec
the
Mummy.
Aztec Mummy. That's definitely a Mystery Science Theater 3000 film. I can guarantee it.
That's why I brought those up, because I knew you would say that. I knew you would say that. All right, cool. So let's recap. To be honest, diving deep into Blade Runner, there's a lot more interesting things to know about the movie and themes and discussions about the movie that are important, and why the movie was so groundbreaking in terms of bringing these themes and these subjects to the sci-fi world. However, on the whole, I thought Blade Runner was not interesting enough. It brought some interesting ideas, brought in interesting looks, but on the whole, there are lots of bits in it where it's really not interesting and boring. The story really plods along. You could have had this in 95 to 100 minutes.
This entire film, I tell you right now, soup to nuts could be done in 65 minutes. That's not a joke.
I was being generous, to be honest.
65 minutes, it could have been done.
There's not a lot of dialogue. There's a lot of shots where, like, the whole Deckard and Rachel in his apartment stuff.
On two
not
separate
a lot of dialogue, dude.
It's scanning, panning shots, and a lot of exposition dumps where there really don't need to be any, because it's really kind of obvious.
And there's let's just say there's a 3 to 4 minute ride from the noodle shop to the police station. And then to Tyrell Corp.
Well, in the conversation with Bryant too, that could have been surmised in about a minute and a half, but it goes on for at least 5.5 minutes. Where it's like,
it's essentially a Vangelis video clip to whatever beautiful music he wrote for the movie.
Yeah,
and like Gary said, the music holds the entire movie together.
Yeah. And it still holds up too, because I think it was on Rollins back then.
And it's not enough for me. And I'm really sad to say it, because it always is sad when you revisit something and you're like, I don't know why I like this.
That's why I felt really bad when we did that Tarantino month. I mentioned before, we covered True Romance and Django. We're like, True Romance, I really kind of don't like this movie.
Yeah, it's sort of like
it's fine.
It's fine. It's not bad.
With Django, like, it's fine. It's not great, but it's And
I mean, there's great bits in it, especially at the end. The ending is essentially, it holds that whole movie together, where it just goes batshit crazy. But in this movie, the music holds it together. It's you've got the right feel, the right aesthetics, the right music, the right everything, but the dialogue fails it, and the story fails it, and the characters are not complete enough. The only good character in the entire movie is fucking Roy Battier, and it's like, it's not enough.
Well, that also the only actual positively good character throughout the entire movie, like actually like a morally good overall, is JF. And that's
JF. And everybody else is corrupt.
Which I mean, it makes sense given the concept of what cyberpunk and the concept of that became. But at the time, it's like, no, your protagonist should be a good guy. I'm like, Deckard is not a good guy in any way, shape, or form.
He's morally gray at best.
Yeah.
It's a shame, really. Is it worth a watch? Yes,
I would say so. If you've never seen it before, it's definitely a film that it should be in your repertoire that you've seen once.
Yeah, I would say definitely. I want to check, just making sure. Yeah, of course the redirect doesn't work. Not to worry. you will be automatically redirected to Pop Culture Minefield and for the rest of their show because they started
and you can snitch
about an hour ago.
With Gary saying, "Hey, Meth and Feeling said they hated the movie."
All right, but that is it for this week. Next week we're going to do something that we kind of talked about. We didn't know where to fit it, and with the Cyber Month, it really fits. Next week, we are covering the original Akira. Groundbreaking anime. Yes, anime. Groundbreaking anime, but also very cyberpunk, very those ideas that were in Blade Runner. You could definitely tell the aesthetics really comes like shines in Akira. And there it actually works better. All right.
And there's going to be a lot of stuff for me to talk about because I actually get to use my Japanese. Yay.
All right. So from us to you, remember, hope is a good thing, maybe even the best of things, and no good thing ever dies. We'll see you next week. You're still here? It's over.